Matthew McCusker from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
VKNJA, team leader, teacher, wrestler, just got TACFIT certified.
Right.
Great hanging out with you the last few days.
It was an amazing experience.
Great having you here, man. And I was like, man, let's go upstairs and talk a little bit. So
right.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. It's an honor.
So tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a proud father and husband, and I got an awesome wife and 3 amazing kids. Couldn't be more proud of. I teach health and phys ed to middle school students in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm also the strength and conditioning coach for our Varsity Wrestling Team. So that's kind of how I spend my free time when I'm not with my family, is with that wrestling team.
Well, I love grappling. I love wrestling. I love jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
So I love having you here.
That's awesome.
And, you know, doing the tools and getting certified and all the thing, learning, right? And to become a better athlete, right? Better
That's
person.
what it's about.
How did you get involved with Steel Mace and Viking Ninja and, you know, all these alternative? Because you were telling me about he's Japanese.
Yes.
He's the head coach of the.
Yep. He's Sonny Abe.
Sonny Abe.
He was, grew up in Tokyo his whole life, wrestled freestyle, got a scholarship to Penn State, and he had to learn not only folk style wrestling, which was foreign to him, but the English language, and he did it in 1 year. He's the only person ever in NCAA wrestling that's gone 4-3-2-1 with his at the tournament.
4-3-2-1.
Yeah, so 4th place finish, 3rd place finish, 2nd place, and 1 place. So he's
and he won the national championship.
Yeah, and from there he went on to win the Asian Games, and he represented Japan in the '96 Olympics
in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, yes, sir. So he's an amazing man, and I think the most interesting thing about him is, you know, wrestling in general. There's a lot of coaches that have big egos, and you know, when it comes to strength and conditioning, they just kind of regurgitate the same things that they did when they were kids or when they were in college. And obviously we all know that, you know, the science of exercise is constantly evolving. And sometimes we're finding that the things that are ancient practices and sometimes things that are brand new are what's best. And, you know, what's amazing about Sanshiro is that he was willing to admit that, you know, he knows what he knows and he doesn't know much about strength and conditioning. And I found that to be very refreshing, especially in that wrestling world, where there's just, like I said, there's a lot of ego, and, you know, maybe rightfully so, but, you know, he was, you know, like I said, open to, you know, a different way. And that's kind of what I brought to the table.
You started teaching at that. So how did you start working at the school? How was the process with that?
Yeah. So, I went to college, not having any idea. A teammate of mine I played high school football with, it was time everybody was finding colleges to go to. And I was like, hey, Bobs, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And we decided to go to Slippery Rock University, which was about, you know, 45 minutes north. So it's like a suitcase college. You could go during the week and then come back. And I was just starting to date my wife, Tracy, and it just made sense, you know. I knew that I loved working out, and I wanted to get paid to do it. And I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. And when it got into exercise science, luckily I had a professor that pulled me aside and he said, Matt, you know, do you want to wipe down machines the rest of your life? And I was like, a shock to me. I didn't really know what he was talking about or what he meant. And he said, well, do you plan on getting your doctorate? And at the time, you know, you're 19 years old, and you're not thinking, anywhere close to be that far down the road. And absolutely not. I'm here to get my undergrad and see how that all plays out. And he said, well, do you like kids? I said, yeah, I love kids. And he said, have you ever thought about health and phys ed? And the answer at the time was no. He said, well, listen, think about it. Take the weekend, come back, and do a little bit of research and maybe make an educated decision. And for me, it was the best decision I ever made. Being able to influence, and not just, I guess, influence them, but teach these kids that there's a lot of different ways to do things out there. And obviously there's a right way and there's a wrong way, especially when it comes to exercise. And, I'm able to make a pretty big impact with, kids that are developing, and they're making, they're becoming who they're going to be the rest of their lives. And,
helping develop their character.
Right. Character development. But just also, being in middle school, that's a tough time for kids. They, a lot of times they come in sixth grade and they look one way, they act one way, and they leave eighth grade and they look a different way and they act a different way. And that can go either way. That can be good or bad. But, helping them understand that, movement is so important. And I tell them on the first day every year, I say, look, the things you learn in this building are all important, but there's nothing more important than what I'm going to teach you. Because every single one of you has to live in your body, and you're either going to do it and thrive, or you're going to live in pain. And it's something that everybody can use, no matter what you end up doing in life. And I just feel that it's super important. And I try to teach them not just how to move, but why we're moving that way. I think it's important for kids to understand, what the rationale is, like, why are we doing this? What's the why? Not just the how, or, I think when you educate them, they value it more, and, they're more apt to actually take it to heart and make it a lifestyle.
Did you grow up in the area where you teach now? And
yeah. Okay. I graduated from the school district that I work at.
Wow.
So that was kind of like a homecoming.
Yeah.
That didn't happen right away. It's a very high achieving school district. So I graduated college. I was lucky enough that I got a job, a long term. It was for the year at a competing school district right out of college. So I was blessed to have that opportunity, and that kind of was a springboard to get into, North Allegheny, which is the school district I teach in now.
Cool. And we were talking about, like just the history of how you started getting involved with the steel mace and the evolution. And we were talking about CrossFit Kids, the company that it was just super interesting. Last night we were talking over dinner about that.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time, in the evolution of exercise for me, even through high school and into college, was, the bodybuilding method. That's just what our coaches, that's just what people did, For me, I wasn't willing to, I guess.
Did you played football in high school and you wrestled, I assume?
I did not wrestle. They wanted me to wrestle.
Okay.
They wanted me to wrestle badly. I just, we had a football coach at the time that he was like, you're a one sport athlete.
Okay.
And, I regret that because, now that, being, a coach and being on that staff, I see that it's the greatest sport in the world for kids that, can get, into a sport that's involved in school. Obviously, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that, you have clubs and stuff like that you can get into, but to compete in school at the high school level, scholastically, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
It teaches so many lessons.
Okay. So going back to the CrossFit Kids, you're talking about that, how that started and.
Yeah. So, the metamorphosis for me was, I knew that this bodybuilding thing wasn't optimal for the human structure. And I've always been the type that I'm always looking to, find what's the best practice. And so I found myself, I found CrossFit, and I was like, oh man, this is amazing. We're away from machines. We're not pulling the pins and selecting weight, and we're actually using free weights. And at the time, I was like, this is so much better. And what I didn't realize was it can be kind of toxic, not just for yourself and your body, but in some of the community, they push you to puke. They push you to, if you rip your hand, it's a cool thing.
I always wanted to do TACFIT.
Yeah.
But there was no TACFIT gym near my house, right? Obviously. So there was a CrossFit gym near my house. And so it worked with my schedule. So I actually started doing CrossFit. Right. But I always wanted to do TACFIT, and I was connected with Scott. And so I would try to do the things that he would say, but just the way it's the formula of CrossFit. Right. It's impossible, and I'm competitive. Mm-hmm. And so you end up not doing something that's health first, right? Right. Working out that's health first.
And that's what it is. And in the CrossFit world, it's, completing a movement is getting from point A to point B. How you get there does not matter.
It's like ego first, right? And things that take years and years and years and years, you're doing it for a time. Even that doesn't, right?
And again, if that's what you're doing for fitness, I see a problem with that, because you're not creating positive adaptations. You're creating maladaptations. You're not moving well. You're just moving for the sake of moving. And for some people, busy, happy, good, they walk away sweaty, and they think they had a great experience, and they're making themselves better. But we all know now that that's not the truth. So
yeah, I even got certified. Did you? I did the whole thing, and it was, shoulders, everything was just, definitely wasn't health first. I mean, it was good because I liked, like you were saying, the idea, moving your body, it was really cool.
Yeah. On the face,
work out of the day.
On the face, it makes sense. But you spend enough time in that.
But you're talking about the whys behind it. Why do you do this? Going deeper.
Yep. Yeah. And, so, we got to the point where, I was a coach. I got my level 1. I got my CrossFit Kids certification.
CrossFit Kids, yeah, I remember that.
CrossFit Endurance. I did some marathoning and ultra marathoning.
Ultra marathoning.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But so started working in gyms locally, CrossFit gyms, boxes, and the owners were like, well, Matt, you work with kids. I would love to start a kids program. So I got the CrossFit Kids certification. And at the time, Jeff and Mickey Martin were in charge of CrossFit Kids, and had a great product. I felt like for that, and they made sure it was developmentally appropriate. They wanted to make sure kids were safe. They wanted to make sure that, when you're working with kids, it's not the same as training adults. And they're very smart about that. They make sure that
What was their background?
That's a good question. You know what? I think it was martial arts. They owned a martial arts gym, and they had I think 2 sons, and they just saw a need that
they worked for years with kids and understood how fitness, the learning and the processes are.
Absolutely. And
the protocols.
Yeah. And it just improves not only your physical self, but your, mental psyche and mental toughness and all that. So they had a break. They sort of broke away from CrossFit because they, according to them, felt like CrossFit wasn't doing what was best for kids anymore.
And they ran the CrossFit Kids?
Yes. So
they're the ones doing.
Yeah, they wrote all the protocol for the kids program, and it was good. It was they're the first ones to say that not every protocol in CrossFit is appropriate for kids, and certain movements kids shouldn't do. And even broke it down into levels. Level 1 movement is, something that you can slow down. I can squat at a tempo. I can hinge at a tempo. A level 2 movement requires speed, so I can't slow that down. Like a kettlebell swing, I can't slow that down and do that at a tempo. It requires, a lot of force application and speed. Level 3 is combination movements, so like a squat clean or something like that. And you have to progress these kids through this program, and they earn movements. So like I said, they had to break away from CrossFit because they didn't feel like, they were doing what was in the best interest of kids. They started their own, it was called Brand X. So I became certified with them, and I learned a lot about, how to work with kids, and the fitness atmosphere, more than I already knew. They're great people. So I owned my own gym for a little bit. It turned out I didn't have the best business partners. So that didn't work out, but
everything's a learning experience, right? Everything's an experience, right? That's good or bad, doesn't matter. It's good because you learn from it.
Right. I don't regret it. I did learn a lot, just about myself, but also people.
Yeah.
But when I was working with kids throughout all these gyms, and then opened up my own, and that was the biggest business we had in the gym was our kids program. We did a kids program. We did a teens program. So at this point, I'm competing locally. I'm doing these local competitions for fun. And I found myself with the junkiest shoulders from butterfly pull-ups and all these movements that, again, you're just doing silly things for time.
Amounts for time.
Yeah. I mean, it's
not focusing on technique.
No, again, point A to point B. How you get there doesn't matter. A lot of maladaptation. And that's what I experienced. My shoulders got junky for a year. It hurt to wash my hair. It wasn't fun. So, owning this gym.
Misuse, right? The Scott Sauna.
Absolutely.
Misuse,
absolutely.
Disuse.
Absolutely. 100%. So I found myself looking through the Rogue fitness catalog online, and I saw this thing called a steel mace, and it was just like a kettlebell thing with on the end of a stick, and so I was like, man, what is this thing? This is unique. This might set us apart in the market, So I started doing some research and found videos of Isak doing some amazing movements. Rotational in nature, anti-rotational.
Famous Isak. Everybody knows Isak.
Yes, sir.
He's the mace guy.
That's it. That is it. And sort of had an opportunity to speak with him a few times. And he invited me out to Denver, said, hey, man, come and learn Viking Ninja. And I've never looked back. I feel better than I ever have. I feel I'm in better shape now than I was in high school playing football. My shoulders are 100%. It's not just, a strength program. It's intelligent, and it's, and that's why I love, Viking Ninja for my wrestling team is, we do some traditional lifts. We do some conventional movements, but grappling in general isn't in one plane.
One plane, yeah.
Right.
You're twisting and pushing.
That's it. You're either purposely rotating or you're counter rotating. You're anti-rotating, and that's what the sport is. Grappling is all about controlling your opponent and rotation. And if you don't have the capacity, it's great to have strength in one plane, but if you can't take that strength and transfer it to rotational principles, then you're in trouble. It's
not real strength, right?
It isn't.
If you twist and you can only move 5 pounds, right? But one direction you're strong, right? Yep. That's not real strength.
100%. And if you think about human movement, rotation is at the roots of everything we do. When you walk, there's rotation. You talk about early humans throwing. That's how we defended ourselves a lot. Whether it's a punch or you're actually throwing an object, that's a rotation. Kicking is a rotation. Running is rotational.
Living is rotational.
Absolutely. So if you're not honoring that evolutionary blueprint, I'll say, then you're really setting the body up for disaster, because you're not moving the way it was designed to move. It's dysfunctional. And again, being strong is great, but if you're strong but not in the
all the directions,
100%, then it's dysfunctional.
Yeah. What are some of the benefits that you've seen with the kids, working with the kids with, the steel mace and Viking Ninja?
So many things. Again, bringing a rotational aspect to training for them has been amazing. I would also say that, wrestlers tend to shoot to one side. They have a dominant
favorite side. Yeah.
So now it's brain recognized gain, right? So, we have movements that are on one side. Now we're strengthening that brain body connection. And we're starting to see athletes, wrestlers that are getting reshots on a side that they typically wouldn't have shot on, because now they're comfortable. They have that connection. The synapses are firing, and there's a relationship now, and it's been very successful.
Yeah, your brain starts to cook, right? When you start switching left and right, you're like, oh my God.
Absolutely. Wheels start spinning. But that's
the club balls, right? It's like, you're twisting and all that, but like once you start, moving that mace around, your left foot, right foot, left hand, right hand, and you're like
multi-planar movement.
Yeah.
And it's the mace is an amazing amazing tool, and it's something that when you look at somebody that is skilled, use that tool, it's just like, it's not that big of a deal. I could do that.
Right.
Then you put yourself
the way you make it look, and Ruben were making it look.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. But then you get a high level athlete, and you ask them to do the same movement, and they're just not. They're crossing over the body now. It's right brain, left brain, and then you're. They start
sweating.
Just holding it.
The nervous system sweat, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you did the TACFIT certification this weekend. Like, what was that experience like from your
amazing
backgrounds? Yeah,
it was amazing. I can totally see where Viking Ninja was born from, and it has TACFIT at its roots, and Scott Sonnen's system. And Isak, put together an amazing system in Viking Ninja. But being here this week, it's so it made me so aware that this is where it came from, and the coaching that was at the certification was amazing. So many great coaches. The encouragement was amazing. And I think Viking Ninja complements TACFIT and vice versa so well. I just feel like it was meant to be.
Yeah, we sent Juan David with some maces, right?
Yes, sir.
And Elena already has one.
Yep.
We made sure she had some lessons, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna do a Zoom call with Elena, help her out with some movements, and give her a little bit of an education. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
it's cool. It's so cool because it's similar, right? But it's different.
Very, very, very.
It makes you respect, the difference, and open up your mind, cook your brain, right? And left, right. Like that's what got me. I was like, oh my God, my brain's like on fire.
Right.
After 30 seconds, 1 minute of focusing on all that stuff.
Yeah.
What do you see in your future, like with working in the system, and where would you like to see it go?
Isak's the man with the plan. He's always got something that he's telling me about, and I think Viking Ninja is. I think there's like this energy that is about to just explode, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be a team leader for Viking Ninja, and I'm proud, and I'm just excited to be a part of the journey. Like I told you at dinner the other night, I'm just honored to be at the table, be mentioned, just to be like, hey, I'm a part of this team in any way, shape, or form. It's an honor for me.
Yeah, it's exciting to see it grow, like just around the world too. You see people, VKNJA Germany, VKNJA Latin America.
It's blowing up.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. What's because it was it's you guys here in the U.S., right? But now you see connecting with TACFIT and merging those things, right?
Yeah.
Has to be interesting, right? Like Ruben's going to be doing the Spanish certification.
Yes.
Sooner than later. When is it scheduled already?
Yes. Well, he's gonna do a workshop.
Okay.
I think next month. And then I think they have a certification they're planning for 2022.
Yeah. What are you grateful for? You've been training. You've been involved with teaching, and what do your family?
Yeah.
What are you most grateful for? Or what are some things you're most grateful in your life?
Man, there's so many blessings. Obviously my family. I think that's the biggest gift, is just having a family that is supportive. They're supportive of me, doing this. Outside of my 9 to 5. Yeah. And just being allowing me to chase passion and put time into it. But as your dad, as a dad, you give so much, and what I don't think, your wife and kids sometimes realize is how much they give back to you. And it's just a reason for living. It's a reason. It gives life purpose. I just have so many blessings. I'm blessed. I'm blessed on my journey.
You're talking about you got involved because of your kids to get them in wrestling. What was the path you met last night? You were mentioning to me. Or was it for the part of the conditioning? Like that's why you're just trying to think of things for your son to help him with his wrestling, or with his to get him involved with wrestling.
Right. So, to get him, man, he's always been like, when he was younger, he was like 20th percentile in growth. So I was like, man, he's got to be a wrestler, cause I just I felt like I missed the boat. And not that it's his life. I'm not living vicariously. I've done my thing, but I just was like, I didn't have a guiding light to be like, hey, Matt, like, you're not going to play pro football. You're not going to probably play college football either. But, so, I think that if I would have had somebody, you kind of show me the way.
Guiding you,
I would have
mentoring you.
Right. I would have picked, I would have chose differently. And, he's gotten a lot bigger, but, for years I tried to talk him into wrestling. I'm like, hey buddy, you're going to probably be shorter like mom. And, strength to weight ratio is awesome, for grapplers, you're going to do well. And it was no. And I actually used WWE to,
hey,
yeah. So I took them to all events. They came to Pittsburgh for years, and eventually I was like, hey, Kurt Angle, and Brock Lesnar, I went down the list. They all started off as, amateur wrestlers and collegiate wrestlers. And so he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, really. So we went to a try-out night, and Sonny Abe was there.
Oh, wow.
And he's on the mat, and he's doing some type of takedown game. And
what a blessing how to have him in that high school.
Oh man, absolutely.
In your community.
Yeah.
Have a guy like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he came over and he was like, hey Matt, or he didn't know me. He said, hey, is that your kid? I'm like, yeah. He goes, he's got potential. And I spun him around. I said, please go tell him that. And he did. And we took Ryan home that night, and he was asking, hey, can we go back tomorrow? And I'm like, man, this is awesome. And he was playing other sports at the time. It came, we won a season in wrestling, and it was time to sign him up for soccer. And he said, is there a way I can just keep wrestling? And I'm like, well, you could do freestyle wrestling. Folk style season's over, but we can do freestyle. And he was like, man, I think I want to do that, you know? So he definitely has a passion for grappling.
Nice.
And, you know, I'm blessed again. I'm blessed to have the opportunity.
He's a full-time, he's a wrestler.
Yeah. I'm blessed to have an opportunity to be on the varsity staff, which, you know, he'll be on varsity next year. I'm just blessed to have an opportunity to help build, you know, we're trying to build a dynasty. We're trying to put a system together that's, you know, K through 12. And really work.
Starts at the bottom, right?
Absolutely.
Little guys.
Right. You gotta start them early and, just cultivate a passion for the sport, but also teach them how to move properly, teach them how to move well. And if you do that, then you don't have a lot of junk to fix on them. They've been moving well, you know, coming up through the system. There's not a whole lot to fix by the time they get to you. If they're only coming to you in 8th or 9th grade, you know, they've developed in a system. And that's, you know, the other great thing is we run a college style program at the high school level.
Like, you know, like Gable style, right? Like, you know, a lot of my friends that wrestled, like, you know, in college, and they just get beat down. And,
right.
And, you know, they're just worn out, man, by, you know, year after year, injuries, and, you know, the people are getting smarter now, right? But still, you know, it's still like Gable style.
Right.
What kind of coach is you know, how do you pronounce his name?
Sanshiro. Yeah.
Sanshiro.
Sonny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta look him up after
absolutely.
we talk.
I told you he's the wrestling version of you. You know, he's like the godfather of wrestling. The godfather.
How do you spell his last name?
Abe, Abe.
Abe. Okay.
Yeah.
Sonny Abe.
Yes. You know, for me, coming in and trying to implement a new system with kids that have, you know, had a certain way of doing things, I'm blessed that they were open-minded. And again, we still do some conventional lifts, but you know, this rotational strength training was new to them, and you know, I think one of the things that
what kind of like squats, deadlifts, bench press?
No bench press. We'll do floor press. I just feel like wrestlers have
already
we don't. I don't like to impinge them on a regular basis. Plus, as a wrestler, I mean, jiu-jitsu, fighting off your back is awesome. As a wrestler, if you're fighting off your back, you're pinned, you're done. So you know, focusing on strength from a flat bench doesn't make much sense. But you know, the interesting thing right now is, you know, I'm still perfecting it, and I'm in the practice room every day, even if it's not a strength and conditioning day, if it's just a wrestling day, you know, practice room day, I'm in the room because, you know, my job is to keep them in that flow zone. You know, I don't want to overstimulate them. I don't want to I don't want them to be understimulated, but I also want to see how they're performing in the practice room. Are their legs shot? Do they have neural fatigue? You know, am I doing
other stuff going on in their life, right?
Oh, absolutely. Are they, you know, and I'll have that conversation. Are you getting enough sleep? How are you eating? You know, I mean, adolescents, they create stress when there is none.
Yeah. High school, it's like college program, right?
Yeah.
Like athletes.
Right.
You have to be.
Yep.
If you want to win.
That's the key. You got to win.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about just all
just making sure they stay in that flow zone.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's the least effective dosage. You know, I'm not gonna give them five ibuprofen for something if they only need 2. You know, it's the same thing with physical training. If I overstimulate them, they're not going to perform well on the mat, and they're not going to be at their best. They're going to develop maladaptations on the, you know, and on their with the wrestling moves. So that's my responsibility, and I take it serious. You know, it's an element of grappling that you know, if you have your strength conditioning. I mean, we just had a kid this past weekend. We traveled for a tournament, and he went all the way to the you know, first place match. Just out conditioned him. I mean, they were evenly matched. It went into overtime, and the kid was gassed, and our guys were, Nathan, he got the takedown and he won because he had more in the tank, and his movement was better. So, we're seeing,
technique, right? Technique is that.
Yeah, 100%.
Just wrestling, but it's like you have the structure, you have your breathing, like these.
Yep. Yeah,
that you can get with these different types of tools, right?
Right. That's
I'm more use the club bell, but club bell, steel mace, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the great equalizer. You have we're putting kids on the mat that are training again, maybe in a Stone Age system, if you will, and we're giving our guys the cutting edge of physical training, and we're seeing the dividends.
Cutting edge, right? But it's ancient, right?
It
as
is.
well.
It
India,
is.
Persia.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
thousands of years old.
Right. And it's just amazing.
There's a reason why they did it, right?
Right. And they're those Persian wrestlers, they're famous for their strength. I mean, and I always talk about, when I'm talking with the wrestling staff, because wrestling, like I said, there's like an old guard, and people just regurgitate the stuff they did when they were kids. I always give them the example, like, hey man, this is what's happening in jiu-jitsu gyms. This is what's happening in MMA. People are forward thinking, and they're finding better ways to train. And they're pushing forward.
Even we were talking about CrossFit earlier, right? But like everybody's moving in the direction of like TACFIT, VKNJA, like everybody's moving in that direction because it's the right way to train, right?
Yeah.
That's why I said it's the future of training, but because it's the right way to train.
It is. And
recovery, immobility,
right?
Real strength, right? Real strength.
Absolutely.
Which part it can be like conventional lifting, right? But mixed in with, do you have mobility in all the different directions? Are you strong in all the different directions?
Right. Absolutely. It's intelligent. It's intelligent training. It's not, again, it's not just like I'm going to the gym, I'm going to get sweaty, I'm going to get tired, and I'm going to go home. Okay, great. Well, what was the purpose of that? Every workout should have a purpose. And, just moving for the sake of moving, it's not wise. You have to move well. And I think Scott Sonnen says it all the time. You become what you repeatedly do. And true words are never spoken. Right.
The Aristotle, what's it in the? It's not an excellence, right? About excellence. What's the saying? Repeated. It's a habit, right? You build the right habits, and that's the 100%. Right. It's excellence, right?
Yep.
Messing up the quote, but
he's not around. He won't know.
But Scott says all the things. That's right.
Right.
So, well, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate just hanging out with you, getting to meet you in person. And,
it's been an honor.
And see you in the room this last 2 days. Do work. Yourself and I really appreciate you doing the work that you do in your community, like allowing these kids to be their best with the late, cutting edge, really pushing the boundaries in your own journey, like education to give them the best tools to succeed and to win. Right.
I hope that, my wish is that, more coaches would, broaden their horizons and I think it's coming. I think that there's a groundswell, and people are starting, like you said, they're starting to realize that there's a better way. If you're doing this for longevity, whether it's a longevity for your lifespan or if it's a longevity in the sport, you're not going to burn them out. You're not going to hurt them, and
it's not just the sport, but it's you live a better life, right?
100%.
With all these things.
It's and that's what it's about.
Be a wrestler,
It's quality of life. It's just doing things to be better instead of just doing things to do them.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and look forward to seeing you more.
Absolutely. An honor. Thank you.